Hi everybody, happy Thanksgiving and welcome to Frontier Patriot. Today is a special edition. We're doing 3 pumpkin pies.
3 pumpkin pies, but all look slightly different from one another.
And there's a special guest later.
Yes, later we have invited a certain somebody to our dwelling who I secretly hope doesn't show up. But
Oh, he's gonna show up.
Oh. Okay, so what are we doing today? We are doing a timeline of pumpkin pie history. First pumpkin pie, from our interpretation of the very first pumpkin pie given at the first Thanksgiving in 1621. That's the first quarter of the 17th century. Our second pumpkin pie is technically from the 1790s. However, I picked it for my 1820 impersonation because it's from a book that was a bestseller throughout the 1820s. So it might as well be from the 1820s,
right.
The early 19th century. That's a good midway point. And then our third pumpkin pie recipe is Ron's modern pumpkin pie recipe.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to compare all of them and see how has this one dish changed so much over hundreds of years.
This should be exciting. I'm ready. My belly's empty. I skipped the breakfast. It's early in the day.
It is.
I'm ready to do this.
It is. So I figured what we would do is we would work our way backwards. What do you think?
Yes, so when we go to eat them, we'll do the modern one first, the 1820s, and then the pilgrim era one, and then we'll give you our feedback on that.
So the very first one we will make is...
I'm just winging it.
Ron's pumpkin pie recipe.
Ron's pumpkin pie from the 21st century.
From the 21st century.
Okay, so here I've got my pie crust already ready, so we'll need a bowl.
Bowl.
And we're just going straight forward with this.
Yes.
So we're gonna use some pumpkin that we got here pureed up. So I'll put that in the bowl.
Pumpkin. Required for every pumpkin pie.
Now,
hard to do without it.
It's funny, they sell it in the store too, but usually that's carrot and sweet potato and a little bit of pumpkin, but this is pure 100% pumpkin. Thank you.
Thank you.
I might need that spoon actually.
And you can just eat this. I mean, this tastes good to me.
I mean, it tastes like baby food.
Well, those are some lucky babies.
You try some? It's not bad. I mean, I could survive if I had to. All right. So next, we're gonna put 2 eggs in this because eggs make things heavy and silky smooth.
Yes.
Ish.
And it helps it to puff up a little bit.
So there's 1 egg.
That works. I was gonna say throw them in here.
Okay, there's our 2 eggs.
Silky smooth.
Next, we're just gonna add a splash of cream. Now you can use milk, heavy cream, half and half, evaporated milk. It all kind of does the same thing. It's just how much you want to spend. And so I'm just gonna do about that much.
That was a little dash.
That's all you need.
You know, I've never had this before, so I'm watching very closely.
So next, I'm just gonna add some cinnamon. Maybe a teaspoon if I had to guess. So there's about a teaspoon of cinnamon. Next, we're gonna put just a pinch of cloves. Cloves are really, really fragrant, so a little goes a long way. So I'm just gonna take a pinch. There we go. There's our cloves. I'm gonna do the same thing with the ginger, because I like mine spiced up, but not too spicy. So there's the ginger. And I'm not gonna add any sugar to this. I'm gonna try something new. It's an experiment. You could use brown sugar, white sugar, maple syrup. Honey, molasses. Today I'm going to go with the real maple syrup, all the way from up in Canada. A viewer sent this to us, a very nice lady, and this stuff is some of the best I've ever had.
They tapped it themselves.
So I'm just going to add that in there. That's about a cup of maple syrup.
It's still sugar, but it's different form of sugar.
Real maple syrup, not the corn syrup stuff that you get from the store.
We have a 0 corn syrup policy here.
And because this is the modern recipe, I'm going to add just a dash of vanilla.
Yes.
If I had to guess, maybe a half of a teaspoon. Just a... There, that's enough.
If it was me, I would have put that whole thing in there.
A little goes
I love
with
vanilla.
that. And then some nutmeg.
Grind you up some nutmeg. It's better when it's fresh. Okay.
So now we're going to mix it up. Justine, would you mind mixing this up for us? And we're just going to mix that until it's really good and incorporated. It smells really good. right, that's about ready. Yeah, it tastes good. All right, thank you for mixing this up. This looks excellent. So we're just gonna pour this in our pan. Like I said, I got my pie crust already ready.
Yes.
No fancy job on it. We're just going for the rustic look. That's what's in style in modern times. So we're just gonna pour it in there. Flop.
Flop.
And
Looks like carrots.
It's getting on my fingers, but that's okay.
Because you can lick your fingers after.
Yes.
No one will judge you.
And don't worry about the raw egg. There are worse things you could eat today that you do eat every day that are worse than just a little bit of raw egg. So
Like corn syrup.
it doesn't hurt to taste your cookie dough or your cake batter. That's good.
Now flatten it out.
Yep. So we're gonna flatten it out a little bit.
And this is gonna poof up a little bit in the oven because there's eggs in it.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
And there we have it. So we'll put this in our oven.
Okay, let's go put it in our Dutch oven.
Let's go put it in Dutch oven.
Now that that is baking in the oven, let's talk about our first ye old pumpkin pie receipt, which nowadays we call it a recipe, but back then the word recipe was receipt. This one is from 1796, and it came from the cookbook American Cookery, which is the first cookbook published in America that has a reference for how to make a pumpkin pie. Though pumpkin back then was spelt a little bit differently as well.
Yes,
Everything was different. So in that recipe receipt, there's 2 recommended ways you can make it, and that was really common for receipts back then. They would often say a more complicated, more expensive way to make it, and then right beneath it, it would say a cheaper, easier way to make it.
Yes.
Well, you know what? We don't do cheap and easy around here.
So we just do cheap.
Yeah, we just do cheap.
Or no,
we
no.
don't do easy.
Yeah, we don't do easy.
So I went with the harder original way, which I couldn't find anyone online who did that. They always went with the second easier way. So what made this one harder? It was harder because it wanted you to put a lattice on it. And so pumpkin pies, modern pumpkin pies, rarely have lattices on them. Sometimes they do. But the thing is, with this pumpkin pie from this 1796 recipe, it's extremely liquidy. Extremely. It has more cream and more eggs than a modern pumpkin pie does. So because of that, when you go to lay a lattice on top of it, it kind of wants to sink down.
Now to see Justine make this, you need to go over to our main channel. It's Early American. That's where we're showing this one being made.
Yes.
In full.
Yes, in full.
Yep.
But we made a second one that we
Yes.
haven't cut into yet.
Yes.
The same way as we made the first one. And we are going to eat it with our guest whenever he shows up.
So
Smells good.
It does. And that
Yes.
one's done cooled. I like my pumpkin pie cold.
Yes. And this one I added brown sugar to it. They did have brown sugar by this time period.
It's just molasses and white sugar mixed up.
Yes, brown sugar, when you go to the grocery store, that is literally just white sugar that has molasses added to it. And that is an 18th century invention. White sugar actually came before brown sugar did. So, but by this period, the 1790s, 1796, they did have brown sugar. The receipt said add sugar. It didn't say what kind of sugar. So you know what? We just added brown sugar.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, now we're going to move on to the
Yes.
early. And
Yes.
it's literally a pumpkin
Yes.
pie.
Yes, it is
The
literally
whole thing is a pumpkin.
a pumpkin pie. Okay, so what did the very first pumpkin pie look like in 1621? I'll show you. It
Okay.
looked like this.
The pumpkin was a vessel for the filling to be cooked in.
That's right.
And I'm actually quite excited to eat this. I like cooked squash, so it's gonna be I think it's gonna be good.
So how did pumpkin pie change? Flour, brown sugar. So how did they pull it off? How did they make a pumpkin pie in a pumpkin without flour, without modern sugar? How did they do it, and why did they do it that way? So in 1621, they came off the Mayflower. We know that they took two things for sure with them, wheat and peas, but we don't know what else they brought. There's no surviving log to this day. We do know that they used up all of their flour, or whatever flour that they had left. It went bad, it went sour, and they also used up all of their sugar. So by the time it came for the first Thanksgiving, they didn't have any flour or sugar left.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they could not make a pie paste. So they improvised, and they just baked the whole thing inside of a pumpkin, which I actually think is genius. Now, we don't have a surviving exact word for word recipe for that, but we do have eyewitness testimony saying that at the time, they cut open the pumpkin, they filled it with a custard filling that was eggs, cream, and honey, and then they covered it up and they baked it in hot ashes until it was done. And so we're going to try to do that to our best interpretation. Mm-hmm. Now, the biggest issue mentally that I had with this is what kind of spices would they have had in America in 1621. These pilgrims who ran out of flour, they ran out of sugar, which are the essentials. So they definitely, in my opinion, did not have cinnamon. They did not have nutmeg. I feel like if they ran out of flour, they certainly ran out of cinnamon by this time period. So we have honey here, and that's probably what's going to give it the most flavor is the honey. So I'm thinking, okay, what kind of spices did they have? No cinnamon, no nutmeg. I highly doubt it. And back then, in the early 17th centuries, those were really expensive spices. Now, by the time period that we usually portray, which is 1820s, these spices were no longer as expensive as they used to be, and there's a whole political reason for that. There used to be a monopolization on the spice trade, but that dissolved in the 18th century. But by this period, there still was that, so there was one company that was selling cinnamon and nutmeg, and they were very expensive. It was the Dutch. So I figured, okay, what is the cheapest spice that they would have had back then? Cloves. Cloves were the cheapest spice you could have gotten. And people had been cooking with cloves in Europe for many hundreds of years. I mean, even in medieval cooking, they had cloves. So out of all the Thanksgiving-ish spices, I think cloves is probably the most realistic that they would have put in the first pumpkin pie.
What about ginger? That's a root. Is that native to America?
It is possible. No, I think that's native to Asia, okay. But I could be wrong.
Never mind then.
Yeah, but I could be wrong. But they did have ginger back then.
Right.
So there is a possibility that they took ginger with them because ginger was medicinal, and I have no doubt that they took medicinal spices with them. So this has a two purpose. It calms your stomach, and it's also for flavoring.
I'll be using that after today, since I'm drinking milk later.
Yeah, oh no.
Alright, so I'm going to give you the bowl, and I'll cut that and gut that thing. Because we got to take the seeds out of it.
Okay, so what we're going to do is first we have to cut the pumpkin open, and then Ron is going to scoop out the seeds. And do not throw the top away. You need the top, and keep the stem because it looks cool.
It's a lid.
It's a lid. Yeah, it's going to help to steam the pumpkin.
All right.
Ron is cutting the top off of the pumpkin, and he's going to scoop out the seeds. There you go. And this is a pie pumpkin. It's the most ideal pumpkin to use for this. Try to find one that's kind of flat. We have another pie pumpkin here that's more vertical. This one's more flatter. This will cook faster and better. He's going to scoop out the seeds, and we're going to be left with this bowl that we're going to use as a vessel to cook with. So for the filling is basically going to be custard. Now, custard is a mixture of eggs, dairy, and you can add spices and sweeteners. So I'm going to do, for a pumpkin that size, probably 2 eggs is sufficient. Okay, and add the whole entire egg to it. Not just the egg yolk or the egg white.
The chickens will love this.
Yes.
These pumpkin seeds. I'll pick them out for them later.
They go crazy for the pumpkin seeds.
Actually, they go crazy for just about anything.
Yes. I'm going to very quickly whisk this. Behold, egg. Now next I'm going to add some cream. I'm just eyeballing this, however much I think will actually fit inside of the pumpkin. I tend to eyeball everything.
That looks pretty good.
Okay.
I'm making a mess over here. These pumpkin seeds are slippery.
Yes, they sure are. Okay, so right now it just kind of looks like a slightly yellow cream. Now I'm going to add the honey, and I personally am obsessed with honey. My dad has multiple beehives, so growing up I always had fresh local honey. I'm a snob when it comes to honey, I guess you could say.
Alright, I got all the seeds out.
Okay, there comes the honey.
Slow but surely.
Yeah. I can't. I mean, okay, how much honey is in here? Oh, probably
I would say
3 to 4 tablespoons.
Yeah. Maybe like 1/8 of a cup of honey.
Yeah.
That's half of a quarter of a cup.
Yes.
And here's the pumpkin
Yep.
hollowed out.
That is the shell that we're going to use to cook this.
Alright. Get this out of our way.
Mm-hmm.
Whose day is it to do dishes today, by the way?
It's our guests.
Oh, yeah. We should make him do it. He's getting a free pumpkin pie. 3 free pumpkin pies. He should be washing dishes.
Isn't that classy? You invite someone over for Thanksgiving and then they have to do the dishes. Okay, the 2 spices that are the most likely that they had with them. Cloves, a pinch of that, maybe 2 pinches. And ginger, dried ginger. That is the most likely spices that they had with them. I'm sure they did not have nutmeg in this time period. Nutmeg was really expensive.
You want me to whisk for a while?
If you want to.
Yeah. I like whisking.
Okay. Go for it.
What a honey. You can feel it on the bottom. It's just...
Yes, you have to make sure it all incorporates real good. And there's just 2 eggs in there, so I hope it sets up good. But I don't want it to taste like scrambled eggs.
Well, we're going to do our best not to make it taste like scrambled eggs.
Yes. Okay, so it is time to pour it into the shell.
You want me to pour it?
Okay.
I make nice messes. Alright.
Very carefully pour it in.
Here we go.
No pressure.
Oh, that's the perfect amount. Good job.
Nice.
You can't get more perfect than that.
Nice, yeah, that fit in there beautifully. Okay,
Very
so
nice. Do we want to sprinkle just more
no.
on top? No?
No.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is just put the cat back on.
Which way? There we go.
Yes, and then here's another thing they didn't have. They did not bring any metal ovens with them. So they didn't bring any Dutch ovens with them. So they didn't have a way technically to bake a modern pumpkin pie either.
And they didn't have earthen ovens made at that time. They've
Yes.
only been there for maybe a year at this time.
Yep.
And it was a very tough year, so they haven't had enough time to make those up, to build those ovens yet.
Exactly. Either. So how in the world did they cook it back then? They cooked it without an oven. They just put it directly into a bed of hot coals. Yep. So that's what we're gonna do. I have to admit, I have never cooked anything in my life like this because by our time period, everyone had metal cookware.
Now, they probably got this method from the Indians, probably helped them out and said, you need to stick it in the coals.
Yes.
So that's what we're gonna do.
That's what we're gonna do. So follow us over to our hearth and we're gonna figure this out.
Arthur. Ron.
Hello everyone, welcome to another Chew Chat. I have Ron Rayfield, Justine Dorn, and our landlord over here, Arthur. Arthur, someone invited him over.
We're old friends.
It's much appreciated.
Okay. So today we are going to have a culinary game of sorts with Arthur. We've cooked previously in the video 3 pumpkin pies from 3 different time periods. The first one is from 1621, second one is from 1796, but it was still popular throughout the early 19th century. And also we have one from the 21st century that's just Ron's personal recipe. So Arthur doesn't know which one is which. He hasn't seen them yet. Each one of us, we're going to try one of the pies. And then Arthur, I'm going to ask him, which one do you think it is? Do you think it's the pilgrim pie? Do you think it's 1796? Or do you think it's the modern one? And he's got to pick. He hasn't tried any of these. And I'll admit, I haven't tried any of these either.
Me neither.
So I'm not really sure how good they are.
Well, I'm gonna admit too, I'm not much of a pumpkin pie eater, so I'm coming in kind of blind here. So, but I think I know enough historically to where we might be able to get a couple right, or one of them right. Hopefully,
Yes.
one of 3. I'd hope so.
I think you'll get one right.
I hope.
The other one, it's a trick. You would think it might be, but it's not.
You got any more clues?
Yeah,
No,
can
no
you
more
not?
clues.
Can you stop
Can
now?
you just like give it to me under the table?
Oh.
I'm going to bring out the very first one.
All right. While she's doing that, I will give a full disclosure. Me and Arthur have been friends for about 15 years now. Really good friends. So, off camera, we're good best friends. On camera, we're arch enemies.
We have milk here.
Oh yes, we're having milk
We're
today.
having some milk.
Y'all know what that means.
That means I won't get any sleep tonight. So if I
Thank
give you pumpkin pie, are you going to uphold that reduced rent for me?
It'll depend on how good the pumpkin pie is, and it depends on if you
Factors.
put anything in this milk or not. I think I'm gonna let you guys take a couple drinks first and kind of wait before I take my first sip. Just in okay, there we go.
But I do occasionally drug him as well,
Oh, yeah,
so
of course.
that don't really mean much of
course.
anything.
In case you don't remember, last time Arthur was here, he was drugged.
Yes, I didn't see any chickens roaming around. I'm
And tied
assuming-
to a tree.
Yeah,
That looks good.
I can't wait.
I wonder which one it is.
I wonder which one it is.
That's a big piece.
Should I use a fork or should I use a knife?
You can use a knife.
I'm afraid I'm going to ruin it.
Here, let me try it.
Okay.
My old family tradition is we just go in with our hands.
That works too.
Do you just want this whole plate?
Yeah, we actually don't share neither.
Okay,
So.
maybe I need a big spoon.
I seen the 3 pies and I was like, oh, I thought it was one for each of us.
Serve him first.
Ah, dang it. It hasn't fully set. It's still really hot. There's the other piece.
Here
Nice
you
and
go.
fresh. That's how we like them. Thank you.
Now, me, I like my pumpkin pie cold, but I'll eat it warm too. Make sure you cut the bottom crust.
I am. Okay. Does it smell good?
It does smell good. Yeah. Oh yes.
Well, how come he got a bigger piece than me?
Because he's controlling our rent.
Okay.
There you go.
Did we settle on $1 or was it? Yeah, it was $1, right?
No, it was 20 cents.
I know my memory's a little hazy of that day. However, I feel like my recollection is correct, but we'll see how good the pie is first.
That means there's a chance.
Hopefully good. I made this one.
Okay, so we are gonna try it all at the same time.
All right. Should I get a little outside crust in? That's always my favorite part, of
And then
course.
Arthur is gonna guess what time period this is from.
All right.
I like it.
Pumpkin-y goodness, that's really
It is
good.
good. Like the crust? Crust is good.
You know, there is no modern sugar in this. It is all
Maple syrup.
maple syrup.
Real. That's
Real maple syrup.
good. I keep a little bottle next to our stove. To where, you know, when we cook things, I mean, I throw syrup in a lot of things that I
Really?
shouldn't throw in, so I think we got a pretty good mix here of what I like, but it's very delicious. And so I need to finish my bite first. No talking. So I need to guess the period
Yes.
of when this is.
Is it the first one from the 1600s? Is it from the late 18th century, or is it modern?
So clearly, this looks to me as much of like what my grandma is gonna make for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So to me, just kind of given off of the looks of how the crust is and what you got going on here, I do feel like this is probably the modern one, and I'm pretty confident about that answer. So that's my final answer, I guess, if you will.
Okay.
I won't tell you the results until the end.
Okay.
What do you think about it?
I think it's good.
I think it's a little. I don't know. It could have been better. I should have put more spice in it.
Well, I'll tell you what I have been telling you over and over again. You need to pre-bake a custardy type paste. And Ron said, "No, I don't need to do that. No."
Just who's got time for that?
I think it needs to be pre-baked, or else it gets soggy at the bottom. But the filling is really good.
The filling is good. You talking like where the crust?
The bottom
Bottom of the crust getting soggy.
I just need more flavor in it.
I think
Soaking
the filling,
into the crust.
Yeah, I think the filling is great,
Well, thank you.
and I don't miss the sugar at all. It's very good.
It's plenty sweet enough with the syrup in there.
Yeah, that's definitely all it needs.
So you can sweeten a pie with honey, molasses, white sugar, brown sugar, maple syrup, or maple sugar, which is when the maple syrup crystallizes, it air dries, and you get maple sugar.
Ooh.
Pretty good stuff. I tried it once.
Okay, well that was really good, and I'm very grateful for it.
Yes, thank you very much.
So let's move
we are leaning towards reducing rent a little bit.
Okay, we are going.
We're off
in the
to a
right
good
direction.
start.
Are we down 10 cents?
We're off to a good start.
The next one here.
This one, I'm excited about.
Oh man, yes, that top just looks absolutely pleasant.
Justine did that all by herself.
Yes,
It's a very beautiful pie.
and I'm about to break into it.
This looks like a piece that you would have sitting on like a, I don't know, some sort of piece you would walk into your home, like a decorative piece. What I'm getting at, or maybe even a fake decorative piece that you sit on your table during the fall time.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
thought you were coming to me.
I'm sorry. Next one is you.
Serving the enemy first.
Yeah, that's
Unbelievable.
It's the rent. I'm just being smart.
Now, this one looks like it's set up good.
I'm demolishing this. There you
Thank you.
go.
Everyone knows when you're getting the pie out, you got to get it on your fingers so you can give it a good
Oh yeah.
good thumb lick when you're done, of course.
Yes.
Anybody need refill milk?
I'm currently fine, thank you though.
All right.
Let's see. Will I destroy this slice too?
You know, the first Thanksgiving was in 1621. That's 400 years ago.
It's a crazy amount of time ago.
And it wasn't until George Washington, 1787, gave the Thanksgiving proclamation to make it a national day. Now, it wasn't a national holiday, but it was. He said it should be every 25th Thursday of November. Well, that only happens every few years, so they ended up having to make a proclamation every year.
Right.
And even before that, John Hancock, the president of the Continental Congress, before we had a constitutional president in the late 80s, they put one out every year. And sometimes they were in the springtime, sometimes they were in the summertime, but most of the time they were in the harvest season in late October, early November. So it wasn't until 1863 that President Lincoln made it a national holiday.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. And another thing I learned is in 1939, FDR changed it to be a week earlier, and everybody hated it. And about half the country called it Franksgiving because his name was Franklin. So they called it Franksgiving, and then in 1941 he signed it back through Congress to be the fourth Thursday every year.
I wonder what the purpose was. I mean, don't get me wrong. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. Who doesn't like a big old feast, right? Especially with all the sweets and
Yes.
delicious food. But at the same time, I mean, why move it back early?
I'm not sure. People didn't like it. This is good.
So good. That is so good.
This one's better.
No offense, Ron. It is.
This
This is so good. So, Justine, could you? Well, maybe I don't know if that'll give any of the cooking process away, so I don't want to spoil it.
Well,
so let me give you your guess first.
Okay.
Or my guess. But I am kind of curious of.
This is probably the best one I ever ate, to be honest with you.
No.
Well,
really good.
Well, thank you.
Like I said, I haven't eaten a whole ton of pumpkin pie, so my bar set fairly low. This is really, really good.
Wow, thank you.
So, man, just given the looks of it and how it kind of turned out, and I mean, I don't know my food history that great outside of really what I've seen of your videos, to be real honest, and I feel like a more sweet type of pie would still be kind of modern-esque. So, man, now I'm kind of wondering.
Was the last one
Well,
modern or was this one modern?
that's kind of what I'm wondering. Is maybe my last guess was wrong, but just given because I was basically on that last one, I was going off of pure cosmetics or the outside looks of it.
Judging a book by its cover.
So exactly. So now I'm wondering if maybe I think I'm gonna stick to my guns here, and I'm gonna roll with Ron's still being the modern, and I think this is what was the 1700s?
1796.
1796. I think I'm gonna go with this being a 1796 type. Surely we were developing a sweet tooth around 1796. So I think that's gonna be my final answer on this one.
Very good.
What do you think about it?
I think it's very good too. Yeah.
I like the brown sugar that's on top.
Yes, but this one has brown sugar.
And the lattice. The lattice is nice and flaky. So you got like a crunch from that. Then you got the gooiness of the pumpkin filling. It's very delicious.
Yeah, the filling's really good.
I really like this.
So good.
Yep.
Even from someone who doesn't normally eat pumpkin pie.
We've made them into a believer.
So if you're bringing this to some sort of event that we have hosting our friends, I'm eating this probably over over most of the stuff that's brought.
Oh, thank you, Arthur. Did I get more
Most
reduced
welcome.
rent?
If I can bring this back to the boys, and maybe we all agree as a collective, we might be able to work something
Take
out
it.
here.
We made 2 of them, so here you can take this back. And please tell them to not tie us to a tree anymore.
They would love to do one of these. Full disclosure, the boys, those are my cousins.
Yes.
John and Daniel. Them guys are a hoot, and they're awesome. They just go for it, and they have a blast, and they're a blast to work with. And so is Arthur. Arthur's a natural.
Oh yeah,
He's a natural bad guy, so don't show him any love. He said he was going to try to win you guys over being here.
That's right. I'm secretly sneakily cunning, I guess would be a good way to. That's right. I'm here for a reason. Don't think you can sweep me over with some of this pie. Although you're doing a pretty good job.
Okay, this is the last one that we have. And it looks completely different than the previous 2, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you say it looks different, Arthur?
Well, if I had to guess, I would assume this crust that you've made here is probably not the same type of crust as the other 2. Just guessing.
There is a slight difference, yes. The difference being that this has no flour in it.
Interesting.
Yes. So it's technically gluten-free.
Yeah.
Unintentionally so. So let me take
And
the lid.
it looks great, just like overall. This looks like something you would see on a modern food show.
Yes,
like,
it does. It really does, doesn't it?
This one's still quite warm. I hope it holds when we slice it.
It will.
So are you supposed to slice like the actual sides of it?
I
yes,
believe so.
You are supposed to cut into it like you would cut into any kind of pie.
So you can eat some of the pumpkin.
Yeah, you can scrape it off and eat it. Don't eat the skin.
Right.
Here we go.
We might be okay.
It might still kind of want to
Fall apart.
I've never had this before.
I am
We gotta
intrigued.
slice the bottom of the pumpkin too.
I am
All the
intrigued.
way through.
Oh, I thought I did. My mistake.
There we go. What?
She's a master with spoons, not knives.
Yes,
That
many
puppy's
people
hot.
have said that. I'm not a master with the knives. That has held up the
Oh,
best.
that did. That held
There
up.
it
Look,
is.
look,
Look at
guys,
that.
look.
That is nice.
Hold that up.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. Isn't that interesting?
That is.
So the inside you could say is a custard.
Ooh, it's hot.
Right. Interesting.
Looks like Jello.
It
It
does.
does. If you pull out some sort of gelatin,
It
type of-
wobbles.
it does. So, admittedly, I'm most worried about, because when it comes to straight pumpkin, like not too entirely too sure of how that's
Yeah.
gonna taste.
You
so,
have to really like pumpkin.
yeah.
It'll probably be kind of plain tasting. Now these ingredients, we just have honey, egg, and cream,
Yes,
and
and
some
there's
clove.
a little bit of clove and ginger in here.
Honey, egg, and cream.
So
Interesting.
I think I'm gonna do a little bit of both kind of bite, like a little bit of the pumpkin and the
Of course,
cream.
that's how I'm supposed to do it. There you go.
It's
That's
different,
what it looks like.
very different.
Is it hot?
It's hot.
I see steam coming.
Yeah, be careful.
That is interesting.
That is interesting.
It admittedly, probably out of the three,
Not
it's not.
not the best.
It's not the best. It's definitely interesting to say the
Is
least.
my rent going back up now?
you should have started with this one and finished with the other two.
It's not my favorite.
No,
Custard is a very acquired taste. And I have to say, I've never cared for custard. As far as custard goes, it's completely normal though. It's not very, very sweet because we only put honey in it.
Right.
And I didn't go crazy with the honey either, for reasons that I'll say later on. And spice-wise, there's just ginger and cloves in it, so it's very simple.
The texture, it's like a sweet potato, a baked sweet potato.
Yes.
Really plain though.
it-
But I mean, given what they had back then and the conditions they were living in the first year they were here in a new world.
Ron!
he didn't give it away because that's where I was going. So
Oh.
that was already my guess of where it was going to be.
They're yelling at me.
Yeah, so this obviously, I think, given the looks and
The
and
primitiveness
exactly,
of it.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely probably the first Thanksgiving type of pie, and it just makes me kind of think back and how thankful I am that we get to
That we have
have such
flour.
delicious. Wow, we have flour and delicious pies that we get to eat nowadays.
Yes, this one I don't think I will be finishing.
Me neither.
It's not bad. It tastes very healthy, I'll give you that. And I didn't add a ton of honey to it because I can't imagine that they would have put all of their rations into this one dish. So I used, maybe it was like 4 heaping tablespoons of honey in this. And
Well, the question is, if they were making this without honey, then I can't even imagine what it tasted like before that.
yes,
So-
what it would be like
It's
without
very
honey.
pretty though.
Oh,
It
it's
is
gorgeous.
very pretty. Very healthy.
I mean, if you want to mix match the two up today, for looks anyways, you could hollow out your pumpkin and you could put your pumpkin pie filling in there and cook it in there
That's so true.
like a crust and have a really wow factor on your
Yeah.
table for Thanksgiving this
and
year.
it's gluten free.
Yeah, because it's just going to add to the flavor. It's not going to make it nasty. I think what we're all in agreement is the plainish custard
Yeah.
Yes.
from back then.
It's not the worst thing I've ever eaten,
Right,
for sure.
And
it's
this
just
could be improved if you did the custard. You could make it, extra sweet if you
Yeah,
wanted to.
and that's another thing. I didn't add a ton of spices to it because
They didn't have it.
back then in the 1620s, cinnamon and nutmeg and allspice were very expensive. Way more expensive than they later were. Like in our time period, 1820, it was much cheaper. But that's 200 years ago. That's 200 years prior to 1820. That's a huge amount of time.
Yes.
That's the same time difference between us today and 1820.
Yep.
We've literally gone to the moon in that time period. So much can happen in 200 years. So it was once excruciatingly expensive, no longer is. And that's why I didn't go in with the cinnamon and all that nice stuff, because I highly doubt they would have had it being right off the Mayflower, and they ran out of flour, they ran out of sugar. So there's no way they would have had cinnamon and nutmeg. So I just added cloves and ginger because I thought that was the most likely spices that they would have had.
Regardless of the taste, you did an excellent job. It's holding its shape. It's beautiful, and
it was fun.
Yeah.
This is a fun culinary experiment.
So, was Arthur correct on all 3 pies?
You were.
Yes.
You win.
Can I?
What's your favorite
pie? Can I just win one slice of the second pie? That a smaller pie or slice, and that way we can.
That was my favorite one as well.
For sure.
You sure can. I'll take that.
All right.
Say goodbye to this one.
That will go to the chickens.
And you know, now it makes sense to me why they say the pilgrims at first were not too impressed by pumpkin. It doesn't taste good. Come on, at least it didn't fall into my milk.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been hilarious.
Here, just scoop it up.
That would have been hilarious.
Sorry.
Flop. Oh, you made quite the mess.
Hey, so I need to ask you guys this, and if you don't mind, can I scoop my
Go for it.
Yeah.
oldest version back onto that plate as well? Or I do have some of my new one on there already, so just a heads up. So I want to kind of go back to where you guys made that ice cream, and if I recall properly, it was the cheese ice cream that wasn't quite your favorite, right?
Yes.
So which would you put worse, Ron? Starting with you, this pie or the cheese ice cream?
The cheese ice cream. Cheese ice cream was nasty.
It was just kind of unedible to us. We didn't care.
Yes.
Like, that is edible, but it's not good. The cheese ice cream was strangely salty.
Now, I will say the cheese ice cream that we had was a modern rendition of the historical one.
Right.
The historical ones would have used Parmesan and some different ingredients, so maybe that would have been better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the one that we tried, it was nasty. Don't even try it.
Yeah, don't.
It was
even.
made by Kraft, I think.
Yes, because they still sell cheese ice cream.
Would you like pieces?
No, I am full actually. If I eat too
It's
much,
really good.
if I eat too much sugar, it upsets my stomach. But it is really good.
Well, this is my favorite one. Is it your favorite one too?
Yeah, it is.
10 out of 10. It's legitimately. I'm not saying this as a friend. I'm saying this as Arthur, an outsider.
Food critic.
It is legitimately one of the better pies that I've ever had.
Positively, bona fidely delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very glad you liked it.
That's dangerous.
Now, I did poison this.
There we go.
I felt it. I felt it coming.
And that's probably why you like it so much.
It's
Maybe
bringing back the memories and
Yes.
the remembrance
Well,
of what
at
happened.
first, there's a very delightful, happy calmness that goes through you, and it almost tricks you into thinking it tastes good. And then after about 30 minutes or so, you have extremely violent bouts of diarrhea
Oh my
and
gosh.
gas.
I can't wait.
And then an additional 10 minutes after that, usually you lose consciousness.
Wow.
So, and I do have the remedy for it. I have the antidote. But I will only give it to you if you promise me 20 cents rent.
Is there any kind of negotiation here?
You should have brought Stinky.
I should have brought Stinky. I needed Stinky as backup here. He loves pumpkin pie as well, so he would have been most graceful. So yeah, I mean, to be real honest, I'm at a bad negotiation point here. There's just not a whole lot that I can really say or do that's gonna end up in a good way here.
Do you wish to save your life?
I wish to not
you're
be
pretty.
absolutely miserable over the next 30 45 minutes. But the thing is, Ron is eating this as well. So I guess if I could just prevent him from getting the
Well, no,
antidote.
I'll give it to him. I'll give it to him. 30 cents.
We can do 40 cents.
40
It's the
cents?
best I got. I mean, gosh dang, you already have most of the
35.
treasure, right?
35.
Yeah, I want my ruby
35?
back.
We don't have the treasure. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
30
30,
treasure.
35 cents?
35 cents. We could, look, only because I got to eat a whole quarter of this wonderful pie, we could do 35 cents rent. Next month.
Next month.
Can we shake on it?
For next month.
Once you shake on it, you can't go back.
You're right. for next month.
35 cents.
You heard it, next month.
Okay, and now I can reveal to you that I made all that up and there is no poison in it. But it doesn't matter because I have 35 cents rent.
And if you're confused, please go to Early American and watch the drama series videos. They're hilarious. There's river rats and I get beat up and Justine has a wooden
You
spoon.
get beat up, I get beat up.
Everyone gets beat up at
Everybody
least
gets
once.
beat up. It's the most dangerous cooking show on the internet.
So if you want to watch Ron get beat up and thrown into a river, go over to Early American and follow our drama series. I have them all numbered out. So from 1 to...
Like
I don't even
15,
know what
16,
number.
there's like 15 episodes. You can find them. And start at the beginning. I know it's tempting to go watch the newest one, but start at the beginning.
It's like any show. You won't understand if you just jump in the middle of it.
Yeah. But anyways, we want to wish you guys a very happy Thanksgiving. Remember, Thanksgiving is about being thoughtful and reflect on what you have and be thankful for that and for others. And if you see anybody in need, please help them.
Yes.
Especially this time of year and holidays. It's getting colder. People don't have as much money as usual. Things are costing more. So if you can help somebody, help them. That'd be a good gesture.
Yes, and we are very grateful for all of our friends out there
Yes.
that are watching us now. Thank you so much for your friendship. We want to spend another at least 100, 120 Thanksgivings with you because I adore you guys so much. Thank you for watching us today.
And
say
thank you-
goodbye to Arthur.
Thank you, Arthur, for being here.
Bye, guys.
These videos wouldn't be possible without him as well, and
Yes.
everybody, and you guys that watch them. Because if you don't watch them, what's the point of making them?
I'll just watch them.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean that's where it started, right?
Yeah,
So,
it was. I just started making the videos for me so I could watch them. Seriously.
well,
So anyways,
I just wanted to real quick thank you guys on allowing me to do this. It really is a privilege. I know you guys always, you're like, oh, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so, I mean, really, to me, it's super fun. Love to do it. It's a fun time. I'm sure for your cousins, it's great too.
oh yeah, even my dad.
And even your dad has a good time. So, I mean,
Yes.
it's just such a great time to do this. We get to do it for, obviously, a good cause. To give the viewers something to watch.
Yes.
And it's fun.
And we teach people about
you
history
do.
along the way.
And that's what's important. So thank you guys. And yes, Thanksgiving. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And I appreciate you guys for coming and 35-cent renting us, I guess.
So to everybody out there, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
See you next week. Take care, guys.